Hello and welcome to Japan Lyric Room. In this program, we savor the lyrics of Japanese songs, explaining the meanings in the phrases and the unique Japanese cultural backgrounds in an easy-to-understand way. And I'm so glad you could join us today.
It's wonderful to be here. I think today's selection really embodies the spirit of what we try to do here, taking a moment to slow down and really listen.
Absolutely. And we are stepping into a very specific mood today. We're going to be exploring the lyrics of the song Seppun, or in English, Kiss, by the band Original Love.
Oh, a true classic.
If you spent any time in Japan in the 90s, or, well, if you're a fan of that era of J-pop, you know this song. It's just unavoidable. But I have to admit, I always just thought of it as a catchy, stylish love song.
And that's the magic of it, isn't it? Seppun was released in 1993. It was actually the theme song for a TV drama called Adult Kiss, or Otona no Kiss.
Adult Kiss.
Yeah, and that title really gives the game away.
It sounds a bit scandalous, or at least very serious.
It's not so much about scandal as it is about complexity. I mean, this song defines a genre we often call 90s Japanese soul.
Right, that sound.
It's sophisticated, it's urban, a little bit jazzy. It draws heavily from lovers rock and soul music. It feels like, driving through Tokyo at night, watching the neon lights blur.
That is a perfect image. It definitely has that night and city vibe. But you mentioned that underneath all that style, the lyrics are doing something unexpected.
Yeah.
A blend of sensuality and emptiness.
Yes, that's the core tension of this entire piece. On the surface, it's so romantic, but if you really listen, it's a song about eroticism colliding with nihilism.
Nihilism. Wow. That's a heavy word for a radio hit.
It is, but it's essential here.
Yeah.
This is a depiction of an adult romance. And in this view, adult romance isn't a fairy tale. It's a state where passion and this deep dissatisfaction exist at the exact same moment.
The closer you get.
The more you feel the distance, the closer you get physically, the more you feel the unbridgeable gap between your souls.
Actually, it sounds quite lonely.
It is lonely, but it's a sweet, almost addictive kind of loneliness. It captures that hollowness that can exist right in the middle of a passionate embrace.
Well, I think we're ready. Let's step into that world. We've selected 7 phrases from the lyrics that really guide us through this landscape of urban sensuality. Let's start at the beginning.
Let's do it.
Here is the first phrase. We exchange a long, sweet kiss.
It starts so gently.
It does, but I noticed something interesting. The song is titled Kiss, using the English loanword. But in the lyrics here, he doesn't actually say kiss.
That's right. He uses the native Japanese word Kuchizuke. It literally translates to mouth touching.
Why that choice? Is the word kiss too casual or something?
In a way, yes. In Japanese lyrics, the English kiss can feel very light, very poppy, a peck on the cheek. But Kuchizuke, that carries a completely different weight. It implies a lingering sensation. There's a humidity to it.
So it's more tactile.
Much more. And we have to look at the verb, too. The phrase says they exchange this kiss. The verb is kawasu.
Exchange sounds almost transactional.
But in Japanese, kawasu implies reciprocity, a conversation without words. It's not him taking a kiss or her giving one. It's a mutual sharing of breath and warmth.
Okay, so a very mutual physical connection is established. But then the song dives right into the intent behind it, which brings us to our second phrase. I want to know you deeply, endlessly.
This is one of those lines that sounds so simple, but it's actually quite philosophical.
I want to know you. In English, that can feel a bit intellectual, like, I want to know your history or your favorite color.
Right, but that's not quite it here.
Yeah.
The Japanese concept of to no shiru is vast. In a relationship context like this, it covers physical, mental, and even existential understanding.
Existential understanding. It sounds intense.
It is intense. The desire here isn't about possession. He doesn't want to own her.
He wants to dissolve into her.
Exactly. It's a desire to melt together, to know someone so deeply that the boundary between me and you just blurs. It's a very Japanese expression of ultimate intimacy.
That sounds incredibly romantic, but also a little frightening,
Yeah.
If you melt together, what's left of you?
That's the danger, isn't it? And I think that little bit of fear leads us right into the next line, which is surprisingly dark.
Right, because after a great kiss and this desire to merge, you'd expect happiness. But then we get phrase number 3. I keep seeing strangely colorless dreams.
And there's the shift.
Colorless dreams. We just had all this heat and humidity, and now it's all monochrome.
It's such a jarring contrast. He's physically satisfied, he's emotionally invested, but when he closes his eyes, the world is gray.
Why? What does colorless imply here?
In Japanese poetry, color often represents life force, emotion. the blood in your veins. So if a dream is colorless, it suggests a lack of vitality. It reveals an unsatisfied heart.
So even in this passionate moment, deep down, he's still empty.
Precisely. It's like a spiritual hangover. It highlights this sober consciousness that remains even after physical intimacy. You can merge bodies, but your subconscious mind stays isolated and gray.
That's that nihilism you were talking about.
It is. It's the realization that intimacy doesn't actually fix the hole inside you.
That is a hard truth. And the song just doubles down on this melancholy with the next line. This one paints such a specific picture. Here's phrase 4. Twilight, the color of fallen leaves.
This is probably my favorite line in the whole song. It's so visually evocative.
Fallen leaves. So I'm picturing autumn, browns, dry gold.
Yes. The term is literally withered leaf color. Think about that. He's describing a romantic moment, but he's using the imagery of dead vegetation.
I hadn't thought of it like that. It's not the fresh green of spring. It's something that's already decaying.
Exactly. It represents a color that has lost its vibrancy. It has a certain beauty. Of course, we all love autumn leaves, but it's a beauty defined by decay.
And he pairs that with twilight.
Right. Layering the English word twilight on top of that creates this powerful metaphor. Twilight is the boundary time. It's not day, not night. It's the end of something.
So a relationship that is twilight, the color of fallen leaves.
It suggests a love that is mature, maybe past its peak. It's beautiful, but beautiful because it feels like it might be ending.
There's a specific sadness in watching a sunset, knowing the dark is coming. I guess that's the mood.
That's the mood of adult love. It knows winter is coming.
Which is so different from the pop version of love where everything's forever.
Yeah.
But then, just as we get settled into this mature resignation, the lyrics jolt us. Here's phrase 5. I start wanting you innocently, like a child.
And this creates so much friction in the song.
I'll say, we've been talking about how adult this is, and then like a child. Is that supposed to be cute?
Not at all. In fact, I would argue this is the most dangerous line in the song.
Dangerous? How?
Well, think about how a child wants something. Do they think about consequences?
Right.
Logic.
They grab.
Exactly. By explicitly saying like a child, the songwriter is highlighting the collapse of reason, the danger of that moment.
So it's not innocent as in pure and holy, it's innocent as in wild, untamed.
Yes. It's a literary technique of contrast. He contrasts the adult setting, the jazz, the twilight, with this childish hunger. It shows that despite all his maturity, the desire is just raw. It's a hunger that logic cannot stop.
That makes perfect sense, that feeling of losing control, but then this uncontrollable desire just hits a wall, a cold wall. Here is phrase 6. Your bare skin is too cold. It irritates me.
This is a line that just stops you in your tracks.
It really does. Your bare skin is too cold, and then it irritates me. First, is it just a cold room?
No, I don't think it's the air conditioning. This coldness has to be metaphorical. They're physically close, embracing. There should be warmth.
So the coldness he feels is emotional.
Yes. It refers to the temperature difference of the heart. Have you ever hugged someone and felt like they weren't really there?
Oof, yes. Like you're holding a statue.
That's the sensation. He is burning with this childlike desire, but when he touches her, he senses her heart is drifting away. Her soul is elsewhere.
And that leads to the reaction. It irritates me. The word is iridatsu.
Yes, iridatsu. It means to get impatient, frustrated.
It just seems like such a petty emotion for a grand love song. Why not? It makes me sad. Why irritated?
Because irritation is a symptom of attachment. If you didn't care, you'd be indifferent. You'd just walk away. But the fact that he's irritated proves he's still trying to reach her.
Ah, that's a crucial distinction.
It shows the cruel, realistic side of adult love. It's not just sweet, it's frustrating. It's that specific anger of not being able to force someone to be on your emotional wavelength.
That is so visceral. And that frustration, that realization of the temperature gap, leads us to the final conclusion. And a warning, don't expect a happy ending. Here's phrase 7.
Yeah.
I realize I will always be alone.
And here we are at the climax. The grand realization is solitude.
It's devastating. I realize I will always be alone.
We have to look at realize here. It's that same word from before, shiru, to know. But here it's more like reaching enlightenment, feeling a truth deep in your bones.
So he's not just thinking it, he's feeling it.
Yes. Remember phrase 2. He wanted to know her deeply, to melt together.
Right.
And this final line is the answer to that wish. After everything, the kiss, the desire, the result is the enlightened realization that we are separate.
So the attempt. It failed.
In a way, yes. The song suggests that no matter how much we desire each other, humans are ultimately individuals. We are born alone, and we are alone even in the arms of a lover.
That sounds incredibly bleak. Why would anyone want to listen to this on repeat?
Because, paradoxically, that resignation is exactly what gives the song its deep sexiness, its allure.
Help me understand that. How is resignation sexy?
There's an aesthetic in Japanese culture that finds beauty in sadness mono-aware. Accepting that you're alone, even while kissing someone, adds this layer of preciousness to the act. You're savoring the friction, the distance, the fleeting warmth because you know it can't last.
So it's intimate because it's impossible.
Precisely. It's a very sophisticated, very adult take on intimacy. It stops trying to fix the loneliness and just lets it exist.
Wow. I think I need a moment to process that.
It is a lot to take in.
So looking back at this journey through the song, from that humid kiss to the final solitude, this is not your typical love story.
Not at all. It's a beautiful, lonely ballad about realizing your own solitude the closer you get to someone else.
It feels like the song hugs eroticism and nihilism together until they become the same thing.
That is the perfect way to put it. This worldview, valuing the atmosphere, letting loneliness bleed into the empty spaces, is so potent in the Japanese language. That's why this song pierces the heart so quietly. It doesn't shout, it just whispers a hard truth.
And 30 years later, we're still listening to that whisper.
We are. It speaks to the part of us that knows deep down that we are all a little bit alone.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this shadowy, beautiful world. It has completely changed how I hear this song.
It was my pleasure to explore it with you.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for listening today. We pick up various Japanese songs and update our website with detailed explanations, just like this one. If you want to savor the lyrics more deeply, please check the link in the description.
Yeah, we have a lot more waiting for you there.
If you like this program, please subscribe to the channel or give us a follow, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have impressions or requests for other songs you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments.
We really do read them all and love seeing your suggestions.
See you next time. This was Japan Lyric Room.